Come on, we need to know that number one, impurity affects your family. Impurity affects your family.
So here's number one. Impurity affects your family. Impurity affects your family.
Number one. Number two, let's go. Impurity not only affects your family, impurity affects your faith. Impurity will affect your faith.
So impurity affects your family. Here's number two. Impurity affects your faith. It affects your walk with God. It not only affects your walk with others, it affects your walk with God.
I'm telling you, when every single time in my life where I've been impure, and you have to lie, you have to deceive. I mean, we understand this. If you're a parent or if you're a teenager or a young person, when you were being impure and you were going out on a date with your girlfriend, your parents are like, what are you guys gonna do? You don't ever say, we're going to have sex. Hey, Mom. Where are you guys going? You don't say that.
You learn how to lie and be deceptive, which affects your relationship with your family. It affects your relationship with God. Let me give you an illustration. If a young couple, they're going to be impure, they don't just come right out and say it. The parents say, where are you going? We're going to have sex? Good, be home by 11. They lie about where they're going, and they lie about what they did. When they get home, maybe the mother says, well, how was your date? Where'd you go? She has to lie.
I can't tell you how many times I get this question a lot, especially again today. You know, we work with young people, engaged couples, people that are dating that want to get married one day. And here's a question, and I remember specifically a couple, I've gotten asked this question specifically, and it's something like this. Hey, Pastor, why do we have to wait to have sex if we know we're going to get married anyway? Does the piece of paper really make a difference? Can you even hear the deception even in that question?
Let me explain this to you. And I'm going to tell you something extremely practical here. One time I was speaking to a group of young people, and I opened in this area about purity, and I opened up for questions and answers. And a question came that was just a question that really exemplifies what a lot of young people feel. This person said to me, if we love each other and we're going to get married anyway, what difference does a piece of paper make? Now, I want you to notice even how she phrased the question was letting me know what the enemy was telling this young couple. In other words, the enemy was trying to put the focus on a piece of paper.
Josh, let me break it down even. Why? Why can't we? Listen to me. Because when you are sexually impure before you're married, listen to me, it creates an appetite and a habit of sneaking around. When you do it out of God's design and when you're not supposed to be doing it, it creates this appetite and this desire of sneaking around. And here's what the problem is. When you get married, you don't have to sneak anymore. But the appetite is still there. Because you opened up and you created this appetite and this desire in the wrong season and the wrong place. And so you have to hide and you have to sneak. But now you're married, you don't have to hide and sneak, but you still have the appetite. So what do? You flirt at the office.
It's going to affect your marriage. I promise you. Because here's what happens. When you begin to sneak around, you develop an appetite that God never intended you to develop. You develop an appetite for sneaking around sex. And you have an adrenaline rush when you do that. And then once you get married, have you ever thought about this? You don't have to sneak around anymore. And that's why maybe the man will say to the woman, it's just not the same. And he'll want to bring things into the marriage to spice up that area of their life. But he won't be able to spice it up because he created an appetite that God never intended him to have.
And men and women connect in different ways. As a matter of fact, a poll that I just looked at said that men rated physical or sex based on their needs for men. You ready for this? It's always number 1 or number 2 for men. The women on the exact same poll on needs, it ranked number 13. Are you ready for this? And gardening was number 12. What is wrong with this play? What is wrong here?
Sex is not as high on the list for women as it is for men. Men normally rated as number 1 or number 2 of their needs. Women, in the last poll, they rated sex number 13. They rated gardening number 12.
You're asking, how does it affect your faith? Let me tell you how it affects your faith. It's even happening right now. Because when you're so used to deceiving, hiding, and lying, and covering, pretending, you can come into a church service with your hands raised, but your heart covered.
What happens, we come to church, and we have sexual impurity in us, and we stand with our hands raised and our hearts covered.
Impurity affects your family. It affects your faith. Number 3, impurity affects your future. Write down, impurity affects your future.
And it affects your family. It affects your faith, your relationship with God. Here's the third thing it affects. It affects your future. It affects your future.
And you would think, again, the source of impurity, especially if you've grown up in church, it's the heart. This is a heart issue. You got to deal with the heart. Do you remember how all of the verses started today that we read about how these people got themselves in these situations? Do you remember? It doesn't start with the heart. Listen, impurity starts in the eyes. Impurity starts in the eyes. All the verses, again, that we read today. Do you remember? Let's go. Genesis 39:6. His master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph. 2 Samuel 11:2. From the roof, what did David do? He saw. Yeah, but that's Old Testament. Listen to Jesus. In Matthew chapter 5. But I say to you, whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery in his heart.
Doesn't begin in the heart. It affects the heart. Doesn't begin in the heart. Here's point number 4. Impurity begins in the eyes. Pure impurity begins in the eyes. Do you remember what we read? And I told you, remember these 2 words? It says his master's wife cast longing eyes on him. And listen, turn to Matthew 5. Let me show you. I promise you, Jesus is going to back this up. People know this scripture, but they didn't know. It's just so clear here. Watch this. Matthew 5, verse 28. Jesus said, but I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart.
This is big for, come on, Mike, help me close. Me and Crystal, we've been married, I think in August it's going to be 17 years. 17 years. And here's the deal, different things affect us. We love watching movies. It's one of our favorite things to do together. And there's things that affect me in movies different than how it affects her. But for me, when there's a show or there's a movie that has sex or nudity, it doesn't really affect her that much because she never struggled. She never had an issue with that. But I have. So I have to treat that, listen to me, I have to treat that the same way an alcoholic treats drinking. Listen to me. I was in the Marines when I was 20 years. I was exposed to so many things. In this area, I have been an alcoholic. So what do? The same thing. Not one drink. Listen, for me, for us, not one look. I can't.
Stop looking. Don't look at any movie. My wife and I love movies. I just love movies. But we will not go where there's nudity in a movie because I've been an alcoholic in this area. Do you understand? An alcoholic can have one drink, not one drink. Listen to me. Some of you can have one look because it stirs it up in you.
If you're here, I'm going to close with just talking to the married people for just a second. If you're here and you're married and one of you in the marriage is struggling maybe in this area, can I tell you something? The best thing that you could ever do, please don't create an atmosphere in your relationship of hostility or insecurity when you're dealing with areas of impurity, blowing up and yelling. Listen to me, wife, lady, if your husband cannot come to you and share with what he's struggling with, do you know, because he's worried about how you're going to respond and how angry you're going to be, and you always, and I knew it, and how could you, and you get insecure and make it all about you. Can I tell you what you're accidentally doing is encouraging him to keep it hidden.
And ladies, please, can you please, will you hear me? Will you not condemn him when he admits it to you? Will you not feel insecure?
So the best marriage advice I could ever give any couple that's engaged, dating, wants to be married, are married. Listen, if you're struggling, I put it up like this because I want you to take a picture. I want you to write down. Here's our goal. Struggle together. Oh, come on, y'all. Struggle together.
Listen, if you want to write down again, write down 2 words. Struggle together. Struggle together.